I'm a writer. I've had two best-selling books, and I've got two screenplays one of them's currently being in production for a film. And I have spent my life, about 40 plus years, being of service to others. I've been participating in the civil rights movement, the opposition against Vietnam, working against AIDS and HIV around the world, and for justice and equality for gays and lesbians.
And do you remember when you first met Sean?
Yes, I do. I was in the White House. I hadn't been allowed in the White House for a while because I got arrested over Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And I was back in grace. And was in the White House, and someone said that there was a young, bright, charismatic man who was working for the president, and that would I like to meet him, who happened to be openly gay. And I said I certainly would. I was a little bit taken back because all my life I had hoped that I would live long enough to see such a person serve in the White House. So I was very excited about meeting Sean. And when I walked into this office, there was this charismatic, tall, very bright, Bill Clinton-esque young man. And I was filled with pride.
And why is that?
You know, I remember a time in politics when I would write out a check for a Democratic liberal candidate and would have it returned to me because I was openly gay and that they couldn't accept my money. So there were some pretty difficult times in the past in the struggle for equality for gays and lesbians. And to be able to see a young man who was judged on his merits, which was his talents and considerable resources, who had a partner and who had children, served the President of the United States. It was a real way for me to measure the progress that we had made. Well, I think so. But you know, part of the problem was that we lost so many to HIV and AIDS in the 80s and the 90s that in some sense we lost part of our history, and most importantly, we lost our storytellers. And so many young people grew up not understanding the full extent of the struggle, not because they were lazy or uninterested, but because all the storytellers had died. All of that generation. I've lost over 300 people in my life to HIV and AIDS, including my partner of 12 years. And I realized that those of us who survived, both the struggle and HIV and AIDS, had an imperative, almost a moral mission to not let their struggle be forgotten and the pain and difficulties that we went through so that a person like Sean Maloney could offer his talents and resources unchecked.
And I wonder if you were a participant in any of the activities on the heels of that tragedy, if you had any contact with Sean.
Yeah, I had contact with Sean. I was a participant only, that I was in grief with the rest of the nation for the death of this angelic young man. But, you know, I have to point out that, you know, in Texas alone, 21 Matthew Shepherds died that year. You know, it became sort of like Friday night football, Saturday night kill a fag. So it was Matthew Shepard just happened to be those unique circumstances that captured the imagination of a nation. But what I saw from Sean, because he was on the phone and he was seeking guidance, I guess, from an older man, of how to deal with his anger, how to process his pain, and what to say when he would meet someone like Judy Shepard. And what I found was a concerned, compassionate, loving human being who had every reason to be on an ego trip given his job, given his position, and his priority was offering compassion and strength to Judy Shepard, that he would not disappoint the gay and lesbian community as being a representative of the president at the funeral, and that he'd do the right thing. That he'd do the right thing. And so very few people take time to just figure out what the right thing is and then do it. And Sean Maloney did. Only 30 years ago, when Harvey Milk and Elaine Noble first started running for office, it's not been that long. In order to run for office as an open gay and lesbian person, you had to have an armed police escort campaign with you because it wasn't safe. You had bomb threats, you had death threats, you had actual attempts made. And as you know, Harvey Milk was killed in the line of duty. So here we are 30 years later We have this couple that's in a long-term relationship with 3 delightful children, running based on their talents and their skills, who happen to be a gay man. It is an extraordinary historical race for us. It is laying the groundwork for our future governors and our future senators, where our community can serve with openness and pride and give our skills and talents to make this world a better place. And the last time I looked at this planet, we didn't have any skills or talents to waste. It's in very sad shape. And so Sean is the first of that generation to have the courage and to give up something of himself and his family to go to the next level in American politics, to run for statewide office, hopefully to win, but I have not a question in my mouth that he's like Eliot Spitzer. If he doesn't win this time, he'll win next time around. But I believe he'll win. I believe he'll win. And it will be a race of historical importance. We have elected congresspeople, we have elected people to state and local government, but we have never elected anyone to statewide office. It's time. It's long overdue. And I can't think, in all my imagination and all my contacts and all my years of politics, literally a better person, better suited to make that historical jump for us. Well, what it will take most important is for Sean not to hold back on who he is. I want him to show this state all of his glory. I wanted to see his talent, his intelligence, his caring for people, how he will be an incredible public servant to the people of New York. I want him to rise above those who would try to diminish him or make him a fringe candidate, and use that as mere energy to show the state of the people of New York, what an extraordinary human being he is, and how lucky we will be to have him represent us in the Attorney General's office. But one thing I've learned, I've worked with Martin Luther King and I've worked with Robert Kennedy, and I've been to jail for 15 times for my belief in human rights. Nobody can do it alone. And we have this tendency at times to let talented, capable people get in the front, and then we become lazy. Every single one of us, if we believe in reform, if we believe in justice, if we believe in peace, and all that is decent about us as American people, have a moral imperative to do everything we can to support this heroic candidate. Well, I feel about the gay and lesbian community in this race like I do the straight community. All those who believe in justice should support Sean Maloney. All of those who believe that everybody should have full equality under the Constitution of the United States should support Sean Maloney. I believe all those who feed the children should not go to bed hungry at night in America should support Sean Maloney. I believe all of those who believe that every American should work and not be exploited by their bosses should support Sean Maloney. I don't care if they're gay or straight, but I think there is a very special atmosphere, a very special victory for the gay and lesbian community if a man who does represent all of that, who does believe in justice and liberty and taking care of those less advantaged than the rest of us, and lift them up so that we're all richer, and have that person just happen to be gay, will tell all of this country, make a lie and a myth of all of those people who want to separate us from society, who says we have no place in this world. He, in a single stroke, will stand as a symbol of dignity and integrity, and as a person who has great gifts to bring to the society.